Hola, mi gente. Welcome to another episode of Wine and Chisme. And I am happy. Like, this is legit been, I feel like years in the making.
Yes, about 6 years.
Yeah. I am here with Jesus Ortega, the owner of Ortega Wines. He is an owner and winemaker. How are you, Jesus?
Doing good, Jessica. How about yourself?
Good. Finally, I feel like me and you have been trying to do this for
Oh,
so long, but we finally did it. I've literally been the wines that you had sent me before. They've just literally been on, in the racks till
I
right
love it.
now.
Well, you know
So
what? I probably did it on purpose so it properly ages.
there you go. There you go. So I'm so excited to have you because, like I said, we've been trying to do this for so long. I do have multiple of your wines, but today I am having your 2021 Pinot Blanc from the Carneros area of Napa Valley. Are
Yes.
you are you drinking any of your wines today? Or you just
I am. I'm actually drinking some red. I'm sure if you can see it or not, but it's a little red.
yeah.
It's a sample. It's just because, bottling is coming up. I'm just kind of figuring out my blends, the percentages of how I want it to finish up. Maybe something in the works. You never know.
Oh, all right. So let me take a whiff. Oh, instantly.
Salud.
Oh, yes. Salud, salud. This smells so good. Definitely some stone fruit,
Yes.
a little green. It's a little like what like lemongrass.
Yep. You hit it on the nose. Correct.
Oh, that smells so good. And especially because we're doing this on a hot day. I'm sure it's even hotter there than it is here. So now I get to take a drink.
Yes. Try it. Try it. Yeah, so that Pinot Blanc, 2021, 100% Pinot Blanc from Napa Carneros. Uh, Pinot Blanc is a varietal between Sauvignon Blanc and Chardonnay.
Oh, okay,
And
I was gonna ask.
everyone in the valley has their Pinot Gris, their Sauvignon Blanc, Chardonnay, Riesling. I wanted to be a little different. I wanted to say, you know what? It's normally a blending varietal, Pinot Blanc is. So I said, you know what? Just do 100%. And I worked with it, and this is how it came out. And actually, I'm very, very pleased at how it came out.
It's really good. At the very end, it's like a has like a little lime at the end.
Very,
But
yeah, it's a little tart.
but I like that. I like that the tartness like that.
It's actually what, I, as a Latino, we love our food, right? So with that, having that kind of acidic kind of tartness a little bit, actually you won't taste that once you have it with some foods or with
I
cheese.
was about to ask,
Yeah.
probably when you're eating it, this feels like it would go good with some spiciness, some heat,
Yes.
just because it does have that tartness to help uh like balance that out. Look
Right.
at me. I swear, I feel like when I'm talking to you guys, like all the things come
Hey,
snapping through.
hey, the new Psalm TV right here. Here we go. That's awesome. That's awesome.
All right, I'm gonna read Jesus's bio and then we're gonna get into it because we love making sure that our Latino wine brands that they are represented and that they are, that we are properly telling their stories. So, uh, so I'm gonna just read you. The Ortega family immigrated to the Napa Valley in 1964. So for over 57 years, the Ortegas have worked countless hours in different microclimates within Napa Valley. Jesus Jr., let's make sure, was born and raised in the vineyards of Yountville, Napa Valley, working alongside his mother, father, brothers, and sisters. As a child, he developed an affection for the vineyards. He began to educate himself on its cultivation and other farming practices, a sector his family has proudly worked in for 3 generations. For the last 15 years, Jesus Jr. has worked as a vineyard operations manager and consultant, helping other people develop their vineyards. He is heavily involved in all aspects of the Napa Valley wine industry, from cultivation, fermentation, aging, and bottling to marketing and tasting. For the last 7 years, Jesus has worked countless hours to develop his namesake label to honor his father's legacy, Ortega Family Wines.
Yes, yes.
Love
Beautiful.
that. So, what part? So, are you a first generation
Hey,
American? Where you did your
yes. Yep. So actually, my father and my two uncles uh, came through the Braceros program in 1964, and they landed in Yountville. As you can see, I got my Yountville hat, born and raised, all the raíces right there from Yountville. All three of them worked for a company, a vineyard management company, which still to this day still exists. So they worked for over multiple years. They actually got my mother and my siblings from Mexico to immigrated out here with green cards as well too, and just started to living their life out here. Back then it was a little easier. And I was, born and raised in Yountville as a kid, being walking through the Vineyard Rows and riding my bicycle down the long driveway on Highway 29, in Oakville, Yountville, AVA. It's just it's in my blood. It's in my roots. That's where we kind of establish our workmanship, right? As a growing up, being in middle school and high school, I wanted to play basketball, baseball, football, ride around my bikes with my friends. I wanted to go do other things. But my parents were like, no, you're coming on winter break. Vas a venir a trabajar. You're going to come and pick up at least the canes that when we cut prune the vines, you're going to put them in the middle of the row. And, just it was the easiest job, but I didn't want to be there. It was cold, it's like rainy, it was muggy. Like as a kid, it wasn't fun. But
Yeah.
now, thinking about it and seeing it, I regret not going there every single day, working alongside my mother and my father. And I did, but asking them questions. Why are you guys working like that? Why are you guys pruning like that? Just asking them questions to because they were doing it for over 67 years.
Wow. No, I mean, I think that's so many of us, right? Our parents ask us to do something, and we're like, "Ay, I don't want to, like, no quiero, I'm good, I'm good. Like,
Yeah.
let me just do my thing." And then as we get older, we appreciate those things and then wish
Yep.
that we could, um, that we would have paid more attention or that we would have asked these questions. So it's a typical kid thing. I get it. Even
Yeah.
my husband said his my father-in-law was very good at golf, and he used to, like, he would ask Antonio, and it's his stepfather, if he would want to go, and he didn't, and now he's like, man, he was so good. I wish I would have asked him more. I wish I would have asked him question. I wish I would have let him teach me. But again, as kids, we don't see that far. We just see the here and now. So
That's it. Yeah.
totally
You're right.
understandable.
Absolutely.
So
And
how did one, I mean, obviously the agricultural part, right? The stewardship of the vines was very much ingrained in your family, but what about like wine itself? Was this something like, was your family just the stewards of the vine, or did they have opportunities to taste it and really get to understand like flavor wise, or was it all just agricultural side?
it was work, agriculture, that's what, put food on the table and helped, raise a family. I mean, my parents weren't really wine drinkers. They weren't even drinking alcohol at all. No beer, no tequila, no mezcal, no anything. So I actually, got into the industry back in 2007. I'll tell you a quick story.
Tell
So,
me.
I actually came back from Arizona and I went to a barbecue. And my buddy, so hey, come over, we're gonna have a barbecue. My dad wants you to come by to hang out with us. So yeah. And their family, he was a winemaker and he invited a lot of people, all winemakers, people in the industry and everything, right? So they gave me a Sauvignon Blanc from Lodi. And, as a new B2 wine, not knowing, I know what wine was, but didn't know nothing about wine, right? Any notes, anything, any structure, anything about wine, right? So, his dad, my buddy's dad asked me, he's like, what do you smell? What do you get? And everyone at the time, as a winemaker or enthusiast, you have your glass and you're swirling it with one finger, and I'm like, how do you swirl it like that? How do you like what are you how do you do that? You know, and now it's just like you have two fingers and you're swirling. So I took a smell of the wine, the Sauvignon Blanc, and I'm like, I don't know, like kind of like just to say, just leave me alone. I don't want to say anything about it. And he's like, come on, just what do you smell? There's no wrong answer. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I'm gonna throw a Hail Mary. Let's just see what happens, what he says, right? I'm like, it smells kind of oaky, kind of woody. And he's like, it's 100% staying still, aged and fermented. And I'm like, well, there goes my chance in the wine industry, right? So the party went on, and a couple weeks later, passed. He called me. He's like, "Hey, are you working right now?" I said, "No." He's like, "Do you mind helping me at the winery? I could use your help." I said, "Sure." So he called me, and get there 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm chewing gum. I said, "Hey, good morning." He's like, "Go home." I'm like, "I just got here." He's like, "You're chewing gum." I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm here to help you." He's like, "No, come here." So he opened the door to his winery, and he had a table set up with 10 bottles of wine. And he's
And
like,
you can't, yeah, you can't taste it with gum. It's going to mess up your whole profile.
your palate is shot. He's like, just come back. I wanted to educate you, teach you about wine. I said, all right. So came back the next day. I was kind of like embarrassed. I'm like, you know what? Let's just see what happens. So I went back and helped him with work, cellar work, and he educated me. And he goes, this is what you find, this is what you do, and blah, 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 and just kind of educating me. And a month or two passes by, and then we were at dinner again, and he's like, "Hey, I have something to give you." I'm like, "What's that?" And he goes, he has some keys in his hand. He goes, "This is my taste room. Go run it." I'm like, "Wait a minute. I just like barely know what fermentation is. Now you want me to go run a taste room, and you just this is crazy." He's like, "You'll be fine. You got this." So him and their business partner, they took me in, and I was working for the tasting room for a couple of years, and then they developed a vineyard management company. Um, and then they're like, "All right, you're gonna be bumped up. You're our actually our manager, supervisor out there, and here you go. Here's your truck." I'm like, "Okay." I said, I could do this at least. This is what I was raised in the vineyard, right?" So I did that, and then the years go by, and I'm just kind of figuring out, you know what, this is crazy because I did not want to be any part of this. And look at me now, 360, I'm back in it, and I love it now. Like I love it. That's like blood, sweat, and tears, and everything. I'm like, I love to educate people on from vineyard to production to everything, anything from the vine to the bottle. I love educating people.
That is so crazy because literally you went from oaky woody and they're like, yeah, no. But
Literally,
that's so cool. Like that they gave you that opportunity, right?
you did.
I think so often we hear of these things in regards to our community work. I mean, my grandpa worked in citrus and avocados.
Hmm.
So he didn't ever do grapes, but it was always like lemons, limes, oranges, avocados, stuff like that here in San Diego. And it's a lot of hard work. Now the difference is that we could eat those things, right? We didn't have to wait. We could instantly enjoy the literal fruits of his labor.
That's it. No, exactly it. Yeah.
And when you have something like this, I could see like so many of our community. I've heard so many stories of their parents coming from the Bracero program and not drinking, not understanding them still, even though your family works within it, still thinking that wine is like a really bougie thing. And in taking an interest, like somebody pulls them in with some sort of interest, and then, and just as yourself, really developing an appreciation for it. And so I love like having the directory to like feature you guys,
Yeah.
right? Because the motto of the directory is we not only work the land, we own the brands.
That's it.
That's the thing. But everybody has a different intro. Like, you want to hear my introductory thing into wine?
Please, please.
So again, wine was always bougie. And if my mom did get wine, it was like the Franzia, the boxed wine, right? So we had converted our garage into a family room. And so there was a separate like laundry room and a like most second fridge and freezer. So that's where all the beer and everything else went. And then my mom would drink wine coolers. So it went from like wine coolers and then Franzia. And these are, I'm not considering some of these in real wine. And then my first, and then the first time I ever got drunk was off of Strawberry Hill. Strawberry wine.
Strawberry wine. Yeah, I love it.
And I was at a quinceanera and just got
Oh my
plastered.
gosh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because people, they sneak. And that was literally, I mean, that's all sugar. That's just
oh yeah.
fucking all sugar.
Oh,
And so, understandably and, deservedly, I had a hangover the next
I was gonna say,
day.
how big was your hangover?
Oh my God. So I was supposed to spend the night at a friend's house. And when I came in, my friend's mom was all mad. And so she dropped me off. And my parents had family or friends over and they're all in the family room. So they didn't even see me come in. I just walked straight into my room. And until I got up at 2 in the morning to pray to the porcelain God, they didn't even know I was home.
Oh my gosh, yeah. No, those yeah, I mean it's amazing just hearing people's story, right? How did they get introduced to wine? There's no same story like twice, right? It's
Yeah.
always everyone's something different, and you'll never forget that story because that's engraved in your head. Because of things like for example, strawberry wine, and me saying it's an oaky Sauvignon Blanc from but it's 100% standing still. So it's nice to hear the stories from different people how they got introduced into
Yeah.
wine.
I mean, I don't know if I would say introduced. That was like my origin story, I guess, right? And I don't I honestly can't even remember the point where I really wanted to drink wine. I mean, I remember I think I would try it here and there. And I think I kind of have what a lot of people new to wine start with, where you start with like something a little sweet. And I'm not a big sweet person. So to me, something like a Moscato, I couldn't
Oh,
do because it was
yeah.
way too sweet. And I was like, no, no, no. And I think I started with not a rosé. What is the one that's sweeter? I mean, I guess technically it's a like a
Not per second, but that's like a little different.
no, it's a rosé, but it's like more of a sweet rosé, but I forget the name, but I went started there, then I went to some whites
Hmm.
and I really liked enjoyed it. But again, I'm not a buttery Chardonnay person as well. So if it was something super heavy and buttery, I would try and find something else. And then and then once I hit reds, I was like, oh, I like wine.
I love this.
Right.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Like
Yep.
the other things, I think I was scared to try red, but once I tried reds, I was like, what took me so long?
Where was I? Where have this been?
Yeah. And then I would have like friends over all the time, like have wine and cheese nights. And if you have not gotten it by now, that's where we
I
came up
love
with the
it.
name Wine
I
and
love.
Chisme.
I love
To
it.
those who are listening, we would have wine and cheese nights all the time. And I would tell people just bring your favorite bottle. I'll get all of the cheese and charcuterie and
Yeah.
all of the things to go with it. And you just bring your favorite wine. And so we would try all different wines all the time. And I didn't really start really learning because it was just like, oh, I like this. I don't like this. Oh, I like this. It wasn't, I don't think I was really paying attention. I was just paying attention to like the label, right? Oh, okay, I like this brand. I don't like this brand until I started the podcast 6 years ago. And then I like people started asking me, well, what do you think of it? I was like, oh crap. Well, people are starting to ask me. I better start learning what's
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's really like when I really started learning what was going on, how to taste wine, how to tell the differences, like what does an oak barrel do versus a steel barrel do, all
Yep.
of those types. And even now I had a a brand send me some Georgian wine, and those are in the clay pots. Those are fermented
Yeah.
in clay pots. So
Yeah.
now just learning all of the different things, it's so awesome. And when I started doing it, I was like, okay, I need others from my community to know because I feel like so many of us are very similar in our knowledge or lack thereof when it comes to wine. And not only that, but are there Latino wine brands? And then that's kind of how the directory began, right?
Right.
So that's my origin story.
It's a beautiful thing because I think, our culture, it is considered bougie, right? So it's kind of one of those things where, you know, we might be afraid to say the wrong thing or like, oh, what are you talking about? And being made fun of,
Yes.
like, what are you doing drinking wine if you don't know what you're talking about? So that's what I think a lot of the our culture is afraid of, right? Because you crack open a beer or a tequila shot and that's what it is and that's it, right? But I love wine because it's a story in a bottle, right?
Yes.
For example, everyone asks me, "What's your favorite wine?" And I tell them, "What day is it? Who's there with me? And what are we eating?" Because
Yes.
that makes a difference, And
I totally agree. Because when people ask me, I'm like, well, it depends. Depends on what I'm eating, depends on what I'm doing, what time of year is it. So when I ask you, you can think I will ask you later because what I've changed the way I ask this because I always say, what is your favorite wine right now?
yeah, yeah.
Because it changes all the time.
I mean, of course, being Napa Valley, I mean, it's definitely Cabernet, right? I mean, that's just what our family, our family where we grew up in Yountville, our family lived in that property for over 48 years, and that's in a vineyard of Cabernet Sauvignon, and it's actually the vineyard of my 2018 Oakville Cabernet Sauvignon. So that Oakville is actually really dear to my heart because that's our family's, labor we're developed, we're part of that, and it's cool to say, my family did this for this amount of years, and now I'm making wine from the vineyard where I grew up on, and worked on.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So at what point, because obviously you've gotten a well-rounded education when it comes to wine, just based on what you're saying, right?
Yeah,
You
I
wait
mean,
with the face you're looking at. Is that a no? I mean,
no,
hands-on. You've obviously got a very hands-on education.
right, and that's I like to say I'm a self-taught winemaker because being I had great mentors through and still that are that love to help me out, and I always ask questions. I used to be afraid to like ask my supervisor or the winemaker like, okay, you told me to punch this down, okay. So you want me to punch this down with this tool and then clean the edges after and put the ceramic after and cover it. Okay, cool. All right, I did the punch down, so I'm gonna clean it. Like I was afraid to mess something up, right? Because I know how the value of that wine
Yeah.
is. Like I know there's a pretty penny for a ton of grapes in the valley, especially here in Napa, right? So
Yeah.
it's like I didn't want, and I was afraid to mess up. So it's a thing to where it's appreciation, and I think that having that knowledge. I'm a fast learner. I'm always asking questions, and I just felt there's always the structure in wine. There's a balance in wine that I love. A majority of my wines have great acidity, but yet great finish. The tannin structure is there on the reds, on my rosés, on my Pinot Blanc. Acidity is amazing. Then you have a full beginning, middle, and end on all wines. So it's like I'm self-taught. So when people say, "How do you self-taught? Who taught you? Who educated you?" I said, "I just took notes and just ask
You paid
questions."
attention. You when you work in it, no matter what, when you're working in it and you're paying whatever industry, when you're working in it and paying attention and asking questions, you're obviously going to learn.
Right,
Right. And maybe there was something inside you as well. Not only were you paying attention, but maybe something heart wise because you were connected to it
right,
from your parents. And so
yeah,
I think that makes us more aware, and even if we don't realize it.
correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it kind of it it cheers me up when someone that knows what they're doing and goes, "Hey, Sus, what do you think of this wine?" I'm like, "Oh, don't miss this conversation up. Don't miss this answer up." But they're asking me for a reason, right?
Yeah.
Because we ask our peers, colleagues, or friends, family, because we want their opinion. There's no right or wrong answer. Because sometimes if I say, "Oh, I'm gonna try this wine," okay, Jessica, what do you think of this wine? And then you're going to say blah 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 blah. Doesn't mean you're wrong. I just like to know what other people are thinking of my wines,
Yeah.
and it helps me as a winemaker to develop, try to mimic that next vintage. as the current vintage, and try to make it better if we can.
No, I get it because every time I get on with, a winemaker and I'm sniffing and tasting and everything, I'm like, I get so nervous because look, I know wine is subjective. I know everybody has a different sense of smell, everybody has a different palate, everybody has things that they like and don't. I totally get that. But because of what I do and having the directory and building relationships with so many of you guys and talking to you guys, it does make me nervous. I'm like, what if I say something and they're like, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Oh yeah.
Because you can see it in somebody's face that that wasn't necessarily the intention,
Yeah.
but I do still get nervous. But I'm happy to say that I would say most of the time, let's say 3 out of 4 times, like they're like, or I'll say 3.5 out of 4 times, they're like, oh yeah, totally. That's exactly
Yeah.
what we're going for, whatever. And then that makes me feel more confident in what I know.
Right, right. You kind of triggered my memory with something, and I want to tell you another quick story, right? So a lot of time, a lot of the winemakers, it could be anybody, even enthusiasts, right? People are smelling. People just go into the glass, or you got people that have an angle to the glass, right? Do you know what nostril is your powerful nostril?
No.
Okay, watch this. It might be a little tricky, but here we go.
Okay.
Pick up your glass
Okay.
and you just roll it. Okay. Smell it on one of the nostrils. Doesn't matter which one. Just smell it, but more dominant on one side.
Okay.
Okay, so roll it again, and then go on in the other nostril.
Oh my gosh,
Okay,
totally
hold on, hold on.
different.
So you're saying is your left nostril more powerful?
My right.
You're right. You're left-handed?
No, I'm right-handed.
Right-handed. Okay, see that's you're the second person. So majority of this little not little test, but I like to say it's my little wine kind of magic trick.
Uh-huh.
My powerful nostril is my left, but I'm right-handed. And if your right nostril is, you're left-handed. It's the opposite.
Nope. Yeah, it's my
So
right.
right and right. Okay. So that's
Yeah.
you're the second person that stumped me.
That's so cool to know though. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna have to have everybody do that from now on.
So just remember, I taught you.
Yes. I had no idea. Well, my left nostril's a little bit plugged up right now too. So I'm gonna have to try it again when it's
Okay.
fully clear to see if that's still the case.
And so now when you're enjoying wine, go to your powerful nostril because you want to get sometimes you're hanging out like, oh, this is nice. But if you really want to break down and profile that wine and see what's in it, get it on your powerful nostril.
I'm gonna have to do that with this orange wine that I was sent because it's super light on the nose.
Hmm.
Like you could barely, I mean, you could smell it a little bit, but it's very light.
Is it
So,
floral?
yeah, it is a little floral, but it was so hard to pick up like major notes. So that's one of the ones that's from Georgia. It was really good. It's a really great summer wine, but it was just like I could barely, and I feel like that's for me, like, and so many of us, right? So the whole experience of being able to smell it and then taste it and do those match even.
Right.
Um,
So, of
so I'm
course,
gonna have to
it's
do
a
that.
it's a white wine, right? You said
No, an orange wine.
orange wine. Okay. So chill it, right? You chill it, and then enjoy half of the bottle, nice and chilled, and then let the wine warm up because a lot of flavors and aromas will come out when it
Yes.
warms up. So see where it's at. When you're saying, "Oh, I can't really get anything on the nose," see if you get anything when it's warm, because that's
Good.
the true
Okay.
flavor of the wine.
Good. No, that's a good idea. I have noticed with something like Chris Solis,
Hmm.
like his rosé, I do like it chilled because when it warms up, it's a little bit more, the sweetness comes out a little bit more when it's warmer.
Right.
And because I am not a big sweet person, and it's still a good wine, it's just like a little sweeter than I like.
Sure.
But if I chill it, perfect.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. It tones down a little. Some of the flavor profiles, it kind of chills it down. It enhances it down a little bit to where it's not really in your face.
Yeah. Wine break. Time to refill that glass and come back for more wine and chisme. Ever wonder where you can find the wines I drink that are made by people who actually look like us? Mi gente, I got you covered because I created the first and most comprehensive directory of Latine owned wine brands based in the United States. And yes, it is exactly as good as it sounds. From California to Puerto Rico and everything in between, I mean, we are talking about over 100 Latine owned wine brands, all in one place, ready for you to discover, sip, and support. This is the directory that I wish existed before I built it. So you never have to search far to find wines that represent our cultura, our gente, and our stories. So head over to the wineandchismepodcast.com to explore the full directory. The link is also in the show notes of every episode, so you have zero excuses not to check it out.
So,
So after all of these years, you're working in with this winery, they're doing vine management, all this stuff. At what point were you like, I think I could do this? Not even that I think I could do this, but I want to do this because that's a
yeah.
lot of time and investment and all of those things to be able to start your own brand.
Yeah, so I actually developed my first wine label in 2014. I had some business partners, some friends, and they were like, "Hey, so you have a good mentor. Like, let's do it. Let's make it happen." I said, "I would love to, but it's a big investment, and something to where I'm not 100% in it. Like, I'm a little afraid. I'm not gonna lie." He's like, "We'll help you. We'll back you up." I said, "All right." So like, I went to a harvest party. And I had some liquid courage, you know. So I actually
The
had
best kind of courage.
I actually the Vintner that was hosting it. I went up to him and said, "Hey, thank you for inviting me." You know, I said, "This is a beautiful harvest party. I just have a question for you." And I was like, "I have an opportunity to make some wine." I said, "I would love to purchase some Cabernet from the house," and that's the house that I grew up on. And the owner, he had a big cigar and he took a big puff and he's like, under the circumstances of our family's relationship and history, he's like, I would love to. We could definitely buy some grapes for me, he says, right? I'm like, oh my God, yeah, it's beautiful. And I called my buddy and he's like, yes, yeah, it's amazing. Yes, go celebrate. I said, perfect, right? That night was a 2014 earthquake in Napa. So
Oh my
that's how
gosh.
I remember it because it was that same night of the harvest party, but yet the same night of the earthquake, right? So Napa has this big earthquake, downtown's buildings are, coming down stuff, and wineries, some barrels are falling off the racks, and this and this and that.
Oh my gosh.
And September comes, October comes, and I get a phone call, and they're like, Jesus, where your bins at? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, the grapes that you want to buy from me? I said, oh, yes. When is that pick going to be? He's like, tomorrow. I said, I'll deliver them tonight. And that's when they kind of kind of came too quickly, but it didn't really sink in yet, right? So took the bands, got my first harvest in with making our first vintage, and that's what kicked it off, right? Um, so then from there, long story longer, we kind of did our things and kind of sold that company away. And in 2020, I wanted to develop Ortega Family Wines because of having friends that are the big name Latinos here in the Valley have their own brands. And I'm like, well, I could do it too. I could have my last name, and I could have a family label as well too. And right before COVID, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to release it. So I released it January 1st, and that's actually was my father's birthday, was January 1st. Um, so released it, COVID hit, and people went, oh yes, we want to support you and small business. And I said, I love it. This is amazing. And then COVID hit, and then personal stuff happened, and I got COVID, and I was scared, and I'm like, what the heck? And it was a lot in my head that was going on. But
Yeah.
fought through it, still here, and 6 years later, we're trucking. It's been a little hard, but we're still trucking. We're still moving forward, and you just gotta. I thank everyone that has supported me still, and from the past and present, and you just gotta stay focused, and that's one thing to where farming. I always have a hashtag: farmer first, winemaker second, because great wine comes from good fruit.
Oh, that's true. That almost like that is very similar to Esfuerzo Wines, right?
Hmm.
He does all that stuff in regards to the viticulture stuff first, like that's, and then because like you said, good wine comes from good fruit. I actually went to Napa for the very first time in 2020. It was in, I was driving up to Oregon and I launched the podcast in right before COVID, like literally maybe like 3 to 4 weeks before COVID like fully
Yeah.
hit. And that was the first Latino wine brand owner I connected with, like really connected with, was Chris from
Yeah.
Seis Soles,
Yeah.
because he had just launched his brand, and he was like, "Hey, can I send you some wine?" And I'm like, "Yeah, what?"
Please.
Yeah, please, please. Because I was like my thing was I was still going to like Trader Joe's because they do have a really good variety of wines that's
They
not going
do.
to cost you an arm and a leg. And
Yep.
I was like, I would rather go there than a traditional grocery store because I feel like they have like some really cool finds. So I was going there, and then I was like, there has to be Latino wine brands. There has, like, a few months in, I'm like, there has to be. And when I was looking for, it was like the same 20 brands came up over and over. And I'm like, just knowing what I know about agriculture, I was like, there's no way that it's limited to 20.
Right.
And that's when I got connected with Mava, and I got connected with um, Llamas and Herencia and Ondrama. And so I was like, hey, I'm gonna drive up to Oregon. Like, I'll stop in Napa. And they're like, yeah, stop. So I stopped for a couple of days, and they took me out. Like, here I am saying, like, I just started. I want to learn more. I want to do something for you guys. Like, I want to, and they're the ones like whining and dining me. And it just went instantly. It went to show me like how close the wine community is. And it doesn't, I don't think it really matters like ethnicity or anything, but when you come to the Latino wine, like the brands, that's even tighter. And I
Right.
felt instantly so welcome. So when I was reaching out to people, I've always felt so welcome. So I could see why you're like all these people who are supporting you and everything, because I guess technically I am in the wine industry on in some
You
capacity,
are. You are.
but just how welcome I've felt by all of us, particularly the Latino wine brands, right?
Yeah.
Particularly by you guys. Um, and it's been so freaking awesome. I mean, obviously with everything happening during that time, were you finding it hard to, because a new label, 2020, you're going through personal challenges. I'm assuming there's some professional challenges going on through that as well because of the personal challenges making it harder. How, like, did you think during that time this wasn't gonna, like, it was gonna shut down as quickly as, or maybe not as quickly, but like it was gonna shut down before you even had a chance to really like let it happen and everything?
I mean, I was definitely scared, you know. And two of the symptoms were losing your smell and taste. And
Oh
as a
yeah.
winemaker, I was like, I remember when I was in the emergency room and I had needles everywhere, and the nurses and doctors had these, suits on with these respirators, and it's like, what the heck? Like, so it was mind-boggling to where it's like I was scared I just want to, what's wrong, you know? But I was scared my business was going to stop. I just released my wines. I just released my brand, and now I'm in the hospital. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get out of this or not. And is my taste buds going to be come back properly? Am I able to properly smell again? And I was afraid. So once, went through that, came home and rested and got better. My sense of smell and taste came back 100 times better. Like my
Really?
sense of smell is so sensitive. I could just smell another level of what the wine is about and structure. People like, what do you smell? And I'm smelling. I'm like, oh, I get this. Not really. So keep swirling. Let the wine warm up. And then later on, friends were like, you're right. Yeah, I can smell it now. I'm like, Yeah, it's just crazy, and
Yeah.
I just, thank the Lord above that, he brought it back. He gave me, he enhanced it for me. So,
No, that's awesome because you do hear I yeah, I think that when you, especially as a winemaker or a chef, anybody that has to do with
right?
stuff like that, like how difficult it would be if you can't smell or taste your
Oh,
product,
right.
right?
I was scared.
Yeah. So what were you doing? Like what were you able to do or who was able to help you to make sure that things kept going while that while all those challenges were kind of colliding?
I mean, my family helped me out for sure, but my business paused for a bit, just to see if, just to get better and to get back stronger. And, so I paused for a couple months. I want to say at least, I got it in March. I want to say by May or June, I started back in the industry, started working again and doing my things I was supposed to. And then 2 months later, harvest hit. So I was like back in it. So, my family was a big part of it. A lot of some close friends as well too helped me out. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely a struggle. I was definitely scared to like, oh shoot, I just released it. Now I gotta pause it. What's gonna happen? So. I think it was just timing. It was just something to where, to the health is really important, and you got to take care of yourself. And that's one thing where I wanted to get better and I wanted to become, return back to work because, that was my business. I had to continue, so, but, yeah.
So what was the first varietal you guys came out with?
The first one, with Ortega, it actually was the Pinot Blanc. It was 2020 Pinot Blanc. Um,
Oh, so this one I have is your
My
second year.
second, yeah, and that time I was crazy. I'm like, I'm gonna buy 4 tons of it, and it's gonna go off the shelves, and I'm like, oh snack. So, that was my first
Did you just
2020.
say oh snack?
Oh snack.
That I love that so cute.
Well, it was another word, but I gotta be good,
You could say it. You
Oh
could say
shit.
whatever you want. Yeah, there you go. I thought
Um,
you were trying to say oh snap. And
yeah,
then you said oh snack.
I said oh
But
snack,
you
yeah.
meant oh shit.
I did. Oh shit. And then my 16 Syrah-Malbec blend, my red table wine, was my first red wine under the Ortega label. And then I
So
released.
when you do something like that, you already you're already you're buying the juice, right? Because the grapes have to be pressed and everything before then, or wait, what
No,
tell me.
no. I actually at the time, through my first label, I actually purchased
Oh,
Syrah
okay.
in 2016 and Malbec in 2016 as well too. Excuse me, 2018 Malbec because I didn't have any other Malbec. So it was 16 and 18, but it has to be a table wine because you can't put two vintages on a bottle of wine, right?
Yeah.
So it's a red table wine. So that was actually by a mistake as well too. I didn't know that I was going to make a blend because my help that was helping me out that time mixed the wine in barrels, and they put them when we were racking and topping. We cleaned the barrels as well, and he put the Malbec wine in the Syrah barrel and the Syrah wine in the Malbec barrel. So when I went to go taste it 3 months later after we racked it and topped it, I'm like, what the heck? This is not Syrah. What the heck? This is not Malbec. I called my guy. I'm like, hey, what happened? He's like, oh, I actually did that on accident. I said, and you didn't tell me why? And he goes, I thought you were gonna get mad and this and that. And that's why I'm like, luckily the wine's good. I'm doing a
Yeah.
blend, so you're very lucky that it came out okay. So luckily it was just 2 barrels, 1 barrel of Syrah, one of Malbec, and I just blended it and came out with the red table wine.
Okay, so speaking of, how quickly do the grapes have to be pressed after they're harvested? Because obviously the juice, because you could have juice that's being pressed and fermented for, a couple of years as it's happening, but how quickly does it need to go from harvest to being pressed?
So it's definitely depends on what type of wine you're making, right? So for
Mhm.
example, I could go in the bulk market and purchase juice from years back. And bulk is pretty much saying it's in a tank or it's in a canvas to where in a drum or a wine barrel to where you could bottle it and put your label and it's your wine, right?
Hmm.
But with being traditional and wanting to say I put my hands, my work, my sweat and tears in this wine, I purchase the fruit, I ferment it. It goes through the process of fermentation for anywhere from a week and a half to 2.5 weeks. Once that's completed, then we press it and barrel it down. So you could tank ferment it, you could bin ferment it, you could barrel ferment it. So it just depends on your style. Everyone's style is a little different. So it's just from from harvest to being bottle ready, it's about anywhere minimal of like 2.5 years to 3 years to enjoy some wine.
Yeah, no, I mean, I had always wondered how, because I know that you can buy grapes, like just the grapes, so you could start fresh on and with
Yep.
whatever you want to do. I knew you could buy the juice, but I wasn't sure like how long, because like once you bought the grapes, like you can't buy actual grapes from years ago. You're buying the juice
Both. Yep. You're buying the juice, correct.
if it's several years. So I
Yes.
just wanted to clarify because I think
Yep.
I knew that. I didn't know how much time you had to do that. And I'm not sure people are really aware of that that's what actually happens, right?
Right. I mean, there's people, that still have wine in the barrel that's 2019, 2021, in 2020, 17. It just depends on the structure of the winemaker that or the producer, the owner of that wine, what they're want to develop,
Mm-hmm.
and there's nothing wrong with that. So everyone has a different style, and that's something to where, I'm just more traditional, and I just want, start from the ground up.
So right now you have five, six.
That Zinfandel is sold out, unfortunately.
Okay. So you have the 2021 Carneros Pinot Blanc, the what is Envy Oakville Cabernet?
Non-vintage.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
So you have non-vintage, the Oakville Cabernet Sauvignon, the Atlas Peak Zinfandel, which is sold out. I wonder if you sent me some of that. I'm gonna have to look.
I think you might have one of those, I want to say.
Oh, I'm gonna have to look.
Yeah.
You have the 2018 Atlas Peak Cab, 2018 Oakville Cab, 2018 Oak Knoll Malbec, and 2016 Red Blend, which is the Malbec and Syrah, the one you were telling us about.
Correct. Yes.
And then you have um oh, these are just for like wine boxes as a gift. So those
Yeah.
are the various ones. Which one right now? I mean, obviously the Pinot Blanc is your flagship Pinot Blanc.
Right.
What would you say if somebody were out of these blends? If you're just, well, I'll just say this. If you're just starting in wine, don't go for a Zinfandel. It's very strong. You might, it's definitely more of a higher alcohol wine.
Yeah.
And you might, I always tell people if you're going to start and tell me what you think. Because I get questions like, I don't really like red wine. I don't really like wine. So I always tell people to start with a Pinot Noir or a Beaujolais when you are, which is, I don't want to say, but it seems like Beaujolais is a little softer
Yeah.
if you're starting in red wine, because those are gonna be softer. They're not gonna be high alcohol. They can go with red or white dishes, like red sauces or white sauces. It goes with a little bit more.
Hmm.
And I don't think those are scary. What would you say if somebody's like, what should I start with when I'm going to reds?
Right. I would say suggest Pinot Noir as well too, and that's something to where it's, to me, it's the beginning, it's the first varietal in the red varietal uh, booklet, right? That we say varietals overall. It's very approachable. There's different styles of Pinot Noir. I always say there's Pinot Noirs that are Merlot, and there's Merlot that are Cab friendly, right? For example, there's big heavy Merlots that I enjoy that taste like Cabernet. So the
Yeah.
structure. There's Pinot Noirs that taste and have the body and have really bold body that tastes like a Merlot. So I always would say just go on the lighter side of the varietals, but Pinot Noir is one varietal that I would say if you want to be entered into the wine and try to enjoy wine and get some knowledge in the wine, Pinot Noir would be for red for me.
Yes, and I think that I feel like Merlot is making a comeback.
Yeah, it is.
Because obviously, and I've said this so many times, the movie Sideways really fucked up Merlot for a
It
long
sure did.
time.
It sure did.
And I'm like, you guys don't. And they're like, I heard it. And I'm like, no, it's you have the right Merlot. And I would tell people, you have to realize that was a movie. And even if it wasn't a movie, wine is again, like we were saying, subjective. Everybody has their own idea. But man, it just
Yeah,
freaking rocked the Merlot market for
yeah.
years. For
It came down
years.
hard, and it people were struggling for sure.
Yes. So I when you're talking about those things, I always say just take a sip. If you don't like it, you don't like it, but at least you know.
Yep.
Surprise yourself. Try
Yeah.
something different.
Yeah.
Because what if you take a drink and you're like, "Oh wow, this is really good," and you've closed your mind off and you don't even get to try something like that. I
Yeah.
see you have a Malbec also, which is I'm okay. I'm gonna say something that may or may not be a controversial opinion.
Okay.
I enjoy California Malbecs more than Argentinian Malbecs.
I mean, a lot of Malbec producers were educated on Argentinian Malbec. When I got introduced to Malbec, a friend of mine that's a producer, he was like, "Oh, I went to Argentina and I love the Malbec, so I want that structure from Argentina." I said, well, in my head, I didn't tell him because he bought the fruit and he's a winemaker and he's gonna do what he wants, right? But in my head,
Yeah.
I'm like, let the fruit do its thing. Don't add this, don't add that. It's just, you know, um, people are afraid because people think that you're adding too many artificial flavors and products into the people's wine. Just let the fruit do its thing. The only thing I add to my wine is some yeast and a little sulfur to keep it clean, and that's it. And
Yeah.
it's something to where during fermentation, I love the aromas, how it's converting from sugar into alcohol. It's just that aroma when you go into the cellar and you do your pump over or your punch down, you're just smelling that. You're like, oh my gosh, it's like if I could put it to a cologne brand, Jesus.
So we were in Oregon a couple of years ago, and I was there last year for one of my nephew's graduation, but the last time I gone for my oldest nephew's graduation, me and my sister went, or maybe it was during 2020 when I was there. But we went to a winery, and the guy, was like, I wasn't even a year into the podcast, and but he's bringing us all kinds of tastings, and he brings us something that was still like hadn't been bottled yet or anything.
Let's say
And of course, he didn't tell us yet. And I was like, oh, this is my favorite. And of course, that's the one that's like the most expensive bottle and stuff.
for the taste.
Yeah. But I always tell people, you can find really great wines that are not super high price point. But when you are looking for wines, and especially when you are going to smaller producers, which I was telling you before, I personally prefer smaller producers because that gives you time. You guys are able to experiment more, try different things out.
Yeah,
It doesn't, I feel like mass producers, everything has to taste the same regardless of year. So I don't know, like to me, the integrity may not always be there, like the structural integrity.
right.
Um, but with you guys, with smaller producers, you don't have that challenge because like you're very upfront of what is happening, what were the factors that are going to affect the grapes this season versus last season. I remember like 2020 driving back down to California when the fires were happening in Napa and how
Right.
much was lost.
Right.
Um, and that made the those bottles that did come out in 2020 skyrocket in price because so few bottles were made comparatively.
Yeah.
What do you see now with all of those things, right? Obviously, you have to factor in um what you want, what you see your audience wants, but also are you seeing a change in audience? Are you seeing a lack of interest in wine right now.
Unfortunately, there is some lack of interest, and that's something to where, as a producer, you're people, some producers can be afraid of that, right? Because we this is what our business is, right? We're not mass producing, but producing these wines that have an investment in, and it's on the shelves, and people are coming by looking and nothing, and people are coming by and nothing, and the last 2 years have been a little tough, and but I'm still trucking and try to educate people on wine. Go, hey, we're at a restaurant. Are you enjoying? What's your glass? Are you having some wine? No, I'm having a cocktail. Well, you're drinking? That's fine. That's perfect. I think the younger generation now a little bit are not really consuming alcohol. And that's kind of crazy to me because when I was in high school, we went to those high school parties, right? You,
Yes.
hey, beer pong, doing that, and all these other games that we play, flip
Jungle
cup,
juice. Did you guys
right?
have jungle
Jungle
juice?
juice, yep, jungle juice. And so it's like back in the day, the generation now, they don't consume alcohol. And it's as a business, as a producer, it is a little scary, but you can't force people. That's one thing.
Mhm.
People, it has to be something to where people want to enjoy it and want to learn about it. And that's why when I do certain events and do private parties and also um, uh, winemaker dinners. I love doing winemaker dinners because you're telling your story, but yet you're educating people because sometimes the producer is just a winemaker. That's it. Yeah, a
Yeah.
winemaker knows about the viniculture part of it too, but being from the vineyard and the cellar, you're the man doing both things. It's like, people can learn some things, and I just love educating people overall. And I'm to this day, I'm still learning, and
We
I'm still
all
asking
are. We'll
questions. Yeah.
never learn everything,
Oh yeah.
right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And it's with kind of going back a little bit to what you were saying with the growing season in the last, I want to say, since I've been in the industry now, this is going to be my 18th year. I haven't remembered in March having 90-degree weather in March, right? But during bud break, it's crazy, and everyone's like, "Oh, well, are you irrigating? Are you putting water in the vines? What are you doing?" I said, "Well, we just had bud break, so they just see what Mother Nature's going to do." And the shoots are pushing; they're coming out. So
I was about to ask, like, do you think that's gonna force an early harvest?
no, because Mother Nature's going to take its course, and we just kind of, have to juggle the oranges as they come because you can't force it, right? Of course, sparkling wine, the grapes that we producers use get harvested first. So it might be an early maybe for sparkling, but it's too early to say. I mean, we just had bud break. It's I would say it's still on track of having a normal bud break, season,
Yeah.
growing season.
Well, yeah, we'll have to wait and see because I was, my husband's in HVAC and we I'm hoping we're going to be able to get out there for our anniversary. I was talking to Miriam uh from Ondrama
Hmm.
and I'm like, our anniversary is in April, so I'm really hoping we're able to get there and visit you
Yeah,
guys and everything. But
yeah.
you know, with it being so hot already, I was like, oh my gosh, we're gonna have a crazy hot summer because this time last year it was not this hot.
It's crazy, and last Tuesday, last Wednesday, I'm like, this feels like it's summer. Like, what the heck? It's like it's crazy.
Yes.
I'm drinking more water now. It's just it's crazy how the weather changed like this.
Yes. Well, going back to in regards to the younger generation and wine and everything, do you think because obviously a lot of people have, or especially younger people have migrated to like canned cocktails and stuff like that. And obviously there's wine that some more wine brands that are coming out with canned wine and everything. My question is, and I know that there's a cost to it. Do you think that there will ever be a point where, excuse me, ooh, I hear a plane too. Hold on, let me take
You're
a drink.
good. You're good. Salud.
Okay. Do you think that one of the reasons is maybe not because of lack of, maybe it's not necessarily lack of interest, but they don't feel comfortable by like opening an entire bottle of wine?
I just think there's a lot of other things the younger generation are, with cannabis, people are,
People are
cannabis and
California sober.
right. And that's one thing to where, you kind of asking about canned wines. There's a market for that, right? I'm not gonna, speak negatively upon it because that's just a brand, a structure to what, a producer wanted to do. That's a little more mainstream because for myself, it's not really worth it for me to do it.
Mhm.
Being a small producer and having my overhead and having the wines that I still have, I want to kind of, go through the wines to where I can bring out my other wines,
Yeah.
and this year we will be bottling some of my newer wines, which I'm excited for. And so it's hard for the generation. I mean, I even asked my nephews. One of them, I have 14 nephews in my family, but the ones that drink alcohol, they're able to drink. I said, "You want something to drink?" "No, I'm good." I said, "Are you smoking? What are you doing?" "No, I'm just good." I said, "Okay." And it just kind of it's kind of seeing the younger generation not consuming anything. It's kind of weird to me. And it's not underage drinking, just being 21, 22, 23 year olds.
Yeah. Well, a lot of them don't even want to drive either.
Oh my
It's
God,
like
Uber.
it's
Yeah, exactly. They have
my
all the ride
nephew,
shares.
my oldest nephew is 21 and just barely got his license because his parents were like forcing him. My second to oldest nephew goes to University of Oregon. He's a
Uh-huh.
duck. And there are a lot of Latino wine brands up there as
Right,
well. And he was saying that they have like wine Wednesdays where they get together with a sorority and they have this and that. And he goes, I don't like wine. I said, because you guys are drinking trash wine. Now, normally I don't judge, but what college kid is going to get good wine
right,
unless somebody is
correct,
providing it?
right,
And I literally told him, I'm like, I cannot let my nephew, hello, I am the wine and chisme.
right,
I
exactly.
cannot let my nephew drink trash wine.
Yeah, exactly. No, you need to help them out.
I know. I said, look, I said, there's some vintners there. Actually, I should reach out to Sam because I think he now does have a canned wine.
Okay.
And I should just like pay for some for him
A
and
little
be like,
starter
there's
pack. A
some
little
ready.
starter
Yeah,
pack.
get
There
a
you
starter
go.
pack. This is ready for you. This is gonna be better.
Yeah,
Even if you want canned wine, like this will be better than I know whatever you are getting right now.
exactly. Exactly. Yep. And hey, you're also supporting small Latino business as well too.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point. And I think that's such a huge, I don't even know, when I first started working on the directory, was asking so many people, do you know there's Latino wine brands? Do you know that 9 out of 10 people, Jesus, had no idea.
Yeah.
And that's honestly why the directory started, because I was like, I can't not like
Yeah.
share this because this is ridiculous. We have to support our community. We have to be able, and if people are going to drink, support our people.
Right. No, and I know, and I thank you for the opportunity for this to showcase my story and just to talking with you and everything. And because people don't know like how it really is. They hear about it and things like that. But I love what you're doing here because you are putting that education on a foundation to where it's only going to grow up. And that's one thing people can not be afraid and ask questions. Like, oh, well, I heard this on her podcast or this from this person, and it's something to where this is a great thing because people now are going on online, going on Instagram, going on TikTok, and putting in the search bar, hey, so and so this and so and so that, and they're getting their information through those media streams, and I just love it. And now we just kind of have to go through those kind of motions to where how can we continue but yet reach out still to Libya,
Yeah.
it's how can we do it? And I just this is a beautiful thing, and I just every time I kick myself in the butt, I'm like, man, this long, 6 years.
No, I get it because we just celebrated 6 years as well, and it's like, wow, it's been
Yeah,
6 years, and
yeah,
I have so many more, brands to have on the podcast. We're over 100 brands on the directory now. I know
right.
we're
Love it.
and once we hit that threshold of that 100, I was so excited because that just means more of us. Now, there enough? No, there's over 11,000 wine brands based in the US. That still puts us at 0.01% of ownership when we are 80% of agricultural workers.
Right,
So there's a huge gap there, but what can we each do, right? What I can do is promote you guys, is have the directory, is have you guys on here, and make sure that I'm visiting and sharing and doing all of that, and drinking and sharing my opinions.
right, right, exactly.
But it takes all of us, and I think that we can't complain that there's not enough representation if we're not supporting our community,
Right.
right? It all starts with us.
That's it.
Do you have a tasting room? How do people find, like, or you just do like private events? How does that work for you in regards to people wanting to taste your wines?
Yeah, so I mean now, like they say, rolling with the punches. We do private events. We do winemaker dinners, and that's something to where I always put it on my Instagram. And I have an email blast. I do have a wine club. And so I try to do monthly, if not quarterly, emails because of how the business is going right now, right? So, but I'm trying to do at least every other month if I can, just to go, hey, being in the vineyard today, this is what's going on, and check out our website or terrawines.com and just kind of keep, being one of those brands who like putting the email out, the email blast out, so people are like, no, I'm still alive, I'm still here, still ticking.
Right? And you do private tastings that you can request
Yes,
on the website as well. Social media. So the website is ortegawines.com.
yes.
And social media, is it the same on all of those, Ortega Wines?
So I just have Instagram, so it's Ortega underscore family underscore wines on Instagram.
And if you forget, we are I am obviously following Ortega Family Wines, so you can find them through me as well, because I gotta represent all my peeps.
And I appreciate it.
All my
I
peeps.
appreciate it.
Jesus, as we wrap up, I want to make sure if there's anything that we didn't discuss that you want to make sure that you share, the floor is yours.
No, I mean, like I said, just appreciate the opportunity, and that's something to where, you know, um, I love hearing other people's story too, because I like to say, okay, he has a little same path of how I got to it, right? I know my path is a little different because no one's gonna say Sauvignon Blanc is kind of oaky and woody. So I know I'm the only one that's have said that before. And just asking questions. Don't be scared, don't be afraid to ask questions about wine. There's no wrong, there's no dumb answer. And it's, people just drink wine. Drink wine.
Please drink wine. Oh, last question. Okay, you were saying in your glass is one of your testers. How is it tasting? What's going on with that? Tell me
It,
what kind of varietal is that?
So it could be 100% this varietal, or it could be a blend. So people have to stay tuned to see what I'm going to be. I'll announce it, later on. But right now, I'm just trying to figure it out. I like to see what's approachable. A lot of the retail prices, you got to kind of proper structure to your retail price because you don't want a really high-end wine to what people are like, well, it's 85 bucks a bottle, but if it was this price, I would, probably buy a case of it. And you kind of have to go kind of maneuver your things around. Um, so this is a 22 vintage. I'll say what it is because everyone wants to know, but it's a Malbec. So my last Malbec
You
that
heard it
I
here first.
you get her first. The last Malbec that I made was the 18, which is on the website there. I literally have like 10 cases left of that 18 Malbec. So I'm trying to find another Malbec. There's a lot of juice in the bulk market. So trying to see if I want to do 100% or want to do another blend. But my fans, my wine club members have said your Malbec, 100% Malbec is amazing. So I might go that route. If not, I might do the blend route. Not sure yet.
Well, we have to stay tuned and see. I'm gonna check right now to see what other wines I have because so I could tell you once I hit stop on the record. But
Please.
I just want to make sure that the other thing I wanted to ask you is because on your website it says to call like what is the range? Because if somebody were to go on the website and say, "Oh, I want this," but they don't know what the price is,
Hmm.
what is about the range of a bottle of wine?
Yeah. So my retail pricing of for my wines on the website range anywhere from 55 to 75. And I do have a reserve, which is $125. But that's, anyone, of course, could purchase that. Excuse me. So 55 through $75 is the range of the wines. That Pinot Blanc, it's actually $20 a bottle.
So if you just want to support, look, I'm going to say this, mi gente. If you just want to support, maybe you're not a drinker. Maybe you just want to buy a couple of bottles to take to an event. That is a way that you can still support these vintners and these brands and also provide and share that these brands exist with somebody else. You don't even have to say anything. You could just hand it and they'll look at it and go, "What? Who is this?" And be like, "Oh, it's a Latino wine brand I found."
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And you're so by doing that, even if you're not a drinker, by buying these bottles, maybe if you're somebody who loves to gift stuff, if you're going to a housewarming, right? Like we always want to go somewhere where we never want to go anywhere empty handed. This is a
Correct.
great way to do that, to be able to support these businesses and make somebody else aware of these businesses simply by gifting a bottle.
And yes, that's one beautiful thing. And I also just right now, I'm going to do this for everyone out here that loves your podcast and wants to support the small Latino wine brands. I will apply a discount until April 30th because April's a beautiful month. My birthday is April as well too. So we're gonna do it till April 30th. If you contact me, order wine, and you say I heard it from the podcast, I will apply a discount to your guys' order.
All right. And I can't, he's not going to say what because you got to call.
That's it.
You got to reach out and
You gotta
find
reach out.
out.
That's it.
But Jesus is not going to let you down. I promise.
I will not. Never.
Jesus, thank you so much. I'm so happy we finally, oh my gosh, years and years in the making, we finally were able to do this.
Yes.
This Pinot Blanc is uh it's it's lovely. It's so nice and it's hot. So between this and the orange wine, I might be drinking this. This bottle might be done today. I'm not gonna
Hey,
lie.
you let me know if you need some more.
Thank you so much, Jesus. And until next time, mi gente.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hola, mi gente. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Wine and Chisme podcast. If you would like to hear more wine and more chisme, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Saludos.